What's going on, guys? PSCam20 back again with a brand new video. We are here at the most difficult track on the game, in my opinion, Mount Panorama. If you guys have never raced on this track, or if you guys don't know anything about this track, you guys are in for a real treat. Now, before we jump into the race, if you guys haven't yet, we're trying to reach 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. So if you guys really like the content, please subscribe down below and leave a like on the video, as it really helps out the channel when you guys do so. Now, let's jump straight into this race. So, again, for me, this has been one of the toughest tracks on the game. As you're going to see, there's a lot of ways that you can mess up on this track, as there's not really that much room for error. We are jumping into the GTR as we are starting in second place. We got a really good qualifying lap in, and it is a 9-lap race as we come down the front straightaway heading into turn number 1. It's going to be a 9-lap race as we are all starting on the hards. No pit stop was required for the race. You could make a pit stop in like maybe around lap 6 or 7 if your hards were going off, but you really didn't have to. You can do this entire race with the no stop, but yeah. So we're going down into straightaway. We're right behind the Jaguars. We brake right after the 100-meter board. The Jaguar actually goes a little bit wide, brakes very late, clips the wall, and we're able to make the overtake there, heading into turn number 3. We're in first place now, so we got open road. Now our main objective is to not hit any of these walls. As you can see how narrow it is, as we actually get bumped from behind from second place. As we're trying to take this part very carefully so we don't run into the walls and sacrifice the first place position coming off of turn number, I believe it's like 6, heading down lap number 1. So we reached the top of the hill now as we're going into the technical part of the downhill part of the mountain. We reached the very top, heading into this right-hander, and we are snaking our way down the bottom of the mountain, going to this left part. This part very scary, as you can hit that bump and actually just go spinning, so you got to be very careful when you hit that bump. Coming towards the end of the turn here for the mountain part, and you can see there's a GTR still right behind us. So the pink GTR stayed right behind us throughout the entire section of the hill, and he's actually gaining a good slipstream on us, and he's actually trying to make a move on the outside. We give him the space there as we head into the final chicane, and we are gonna slip right behind him into the slipstream, going into the right-hander. Coming to the final chicane, braking right after the 150-meter board, clip the apex there, and stay right behind him as we end lap number 1. So coming down to the final turn, we're staying right behind him, trying to stay as close as we can, because the slipstream is so powerful on this racetrack that if you can get a good toe on the straightaways, you can make a very good overtake, as you saw he did on us on the last straightaway. So coming to lap number 2, we're behind him on the slipstream, going actually purple on the second lap here as we brake right after the 150-meter board. We take a look on the inside, but very optimistic of a move, so we back out of that as we come at the end of the chicane, heading into the final corner on lap number 2. So we don't do anything much there. Coming to lap number 3, he actually goes a little bit wide coming into turn number 1, so we get a very good exit coming out of turn number 1, and we get right behind him on the slipstream. So we're going to try to propel ourselves up as we come into the long straightaway heading into turn number 2. Make a move on the inside, take a look. We get a very good top speed compared to him. Try to see if we can brake as late as we can, go side by side going into turn number 2, but we back out of the move there, as we weren't going to be able to make it 2x2 going into that second turn, and we back out and try to make try to get back into the slipstream so we can make a move maybe later on during the lap. So coming down the mountain again, we hit that bump, that scary bump that you can mess up on, and we try to avoid the walls again as we try to stay behind him as close as we can. We actually get a very good entrance into the final corner of the mountain, and we actually stay behind him on the slipstream. As we fast forward here, we're still behind him on the slipstream, trying to get a move on the outside. It's going to turn into the inside. We actually back out of that, but we go into the outside, coming into the chicane, brake right after the 150-meter board. He goes very very into that apex, and we're able to get a good run coming off of the chicane, going to the final turn. We're getting onto the inside of the GTR, brake very late, and park it on the apex, and we actually make the move done. He bumps into us, and we try to see where he's at. As we look behind us, he's actually flashing his lights at us. I think he was kind of mad about that move. But coming to turn number 1, we miss the apex, and he actually makes contact with us. We go a little bit wide, as you can see on his point of view. He bumps into us and then makes us go a little bit wide, so we lose a little bit of momentum there as we come down the straightaway. It's going to be a side-by-side drag race coming into turn number 2. And we try to get right behind him coming into turn number 2, just see if we can try to get behind him on the slipstream. Try to go into the inside. He covers it a little bit. He tries to give us a blinker on the right hand side. I don't know what he was trying to suggest for us to do, as he really didn't give us any space coming down into turn number 2. As we jump into the beginning part of the mountain, we try to stay behind him going into turn number 3 and 4. He gets a little bit loose and we make a little bit of contact with him, but luckily we don't wreck him or anything like that. So going into the final part of lap number 4, we try to break as late as we can as we try to make a move on the inside, back out of that again, get behind him as we try to probably make a good... Anyways, coming into the race again, we lose 3 positions, jumping all the way down to 6th place. Actually, we lose a couple more positions as we jump down all the way to 8th place. Now we're right behind the Jaguar and the GTR ahead of us. So now it's just a catch-up game, as we are now on lap number 5, coming to the end of the mountain. We actually get a really good exit off of this turn, and we are able to gain ground on the Jaguar ahead of us. We get very, very close to him as we try to make a move on the inside, but we actually back out of that. And we actually get a really good exit coming out of the chicane. Get to stay right behind the Jaguar, and we actually stay on the inside, but we actually just get right back behind him. As 2nd place comes into the pits, I'm not sure why he came into the pits. If he had, I mean, you really don't have to come into the pits for this race, but came into the pits maybe thinking he can get some fresh rubber in and try to at least make a move back off through the field and try to get the win. Coming into turn number 1, we look onto the inside of the Jaguar, and he actually gets a really good exit coming out, but we stay right behind him on the slipstream. We should be able to get him as we have a much more powerful car heading down the slipstream. The Jaguar is more better on the turns, but we're better on the straightaway. We get a really, really good run down the straightaway, cut right in front of him as he backs out a little bit, break right after the 100-meter board, and that is 7th place for us. So we're working our way now through the traffic as we set our sights on 7th. Coming to the final part of the lap, and coming to the left-hander of the beginning part of the chicane, and you can see a car actually go spinning. So let's see what happened right here to the GTR. He gets a really good run, bumps into the Corvette, and gets very, very loose and goes into the grass. So that promotes us up into 6th place as we head into the final turn, coming off of lap number 7. So we get a really good run going into this turn. We stay right behind the GTRs. He gets a little bit loose coming out of the final turn, gets a little bit of wheel spin. The GTR actually gets a really good run on the straightaway heading to lap number 2, or turn number 2. And he goes side by side with the Corvette, and that's not going to really work out, as one of them is going to have to give up the position. The GTR gives up the position. We're actually able to get a little bit of ground, make a daring overtake going into turn number 3, and we're able to promote ourselves into 5th place. So we were able to gain 2 positions in the span of 1 lap. So coming into the end part of the mountain here, we're still on lap number 8 as we're catching up on the Corvette. The Corvette gets a very, very wide entrance going into the final turn of the final part of the mountain, and we're able to stay right behind him heading into the slipstream. Going down the straightaway, we should have a little bit more power than him as we come down the straightaway. We're catching up. You see right there, we're catching up. Are we going to be able to make an overtake here? We slip into the inside. That's going to turn into the outside when we go into the chicane, and we make the move stick, break right after the 150-meter board, and we're able to get 4th place coming into the chicane. So the front two cars are still battling with each other. They actually get a little bit loose as we come into the final corner. The Corvette actually outbrakes himself and almost takes us out, as we can see it from his perspective. Just outbrakes himself, clips the grass, and goes straight into that wall. So we got very, very lucky there that he didn't take us out. But jumping into the final lap now, coming out of turn number 1, you can see that 3rd place has a 7-second penalty, so we should be able to overtake him as we come down the penalty zone. We're able to go through his ghosted car, and now we are up to 3rd, trying to gain on 2nd place as we are actually getting a slipstream from him. Break right after the 100-meter board, and we're going to try to do our best as we can to perfect this mountain part and hopefully not run into the walls, and just try to catch up into 2nd place so we can at least get a good finish here. Coming into turn number 4 here, we get a really good run coming out of the uphill mountain part. We get a little bit of wheel spin coming up into the mountain, going into the right and left-hander. We're still catching up to the Corvette, but and we might run out of time here as we actually go a little bit too wide. We have to let go of the throttle, heading into the very, very top part of the mountain. Get a little bit loose again as we're losing a ton of grip as these hard tires are done now. So we're coming down to the mountain, heading to the snaky part. We are still kind of catching up into second place, trying to not hit any of the walls there as we come into the final part of the mountain. The GTR actually goes a little bit wide and bumps into the wall, causing a yellow flag. So the leader actually spins out, so that gives us free range to hopefully try to catch up to him as we come into the final turn of the mountain part. We're catching up to him, and you can see first place is right ahead of us. So let's see if we can try to catch up to the Corvette and maybe catch up to first place. We are unable to as we're coming to the final time into the chicane here. We actually outbrake ourselves coming into the final part of the chicane on the final lap as we head into the final turn here. And we're coming into the final turn, and you can see the GTR, the leader actually runs straight into the wall. So he outbrakes himself, goes straight into the wall. Let's see what happens. Yeah, just outbroke himself, went straight into the wall. And that's going to promote us into second place. But we actually have a car behind us, and it's actually going to be a photo finish as we come into the line. Who's going to get second? We get second. So we're able to come back from 8th place, going all the way up into second in a span of 4 laps. Great racing. Awesome finish. Really enjoyed this race, and hope you guys did too. Anyways, if you guys really enjoyed that content, subscribe down below. Leave a like on the video. It really helps out the channel. You guys leave a like. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.